Boom, we are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry I've been away for so long. I was working on the kind of Unconference Ideas Festival we've been building the last few years. Links for that will be down below. But I wanted to dive in and take a look at Bitcoin. In the private group and our monthly newsletter, we've been following what I believe to be an accumulation range. Right now, it looks like we're in the final stages of that. Now, the worrisome part here is that we had a multiple point trend line in what appeared to be a widening megaphone, which can be extraordinarily bullish. But as soon as we broke past the $27.5 thousand mark, we fell right through. Now, I want to point out, though, that we expected some sort of LPS to come in here. So the fact that there was a significant amount of selling that did very little to the price and then dropped us right back down, this LPS doesn't look too out of place to me. Now, we're in some trying times, and I wanted to make a conjecture against this point being bullish, because we've been bullish since around $18,000 and $19,000. There's a clear pivot. I was clearly wrong about some of the gaming tokens, but we'll make some conversations about that on a separate video. Today, I just wanted a quick update around Bitcoin and some of my thoughts. So it's not clear to me that this LPS is anything out of the ordinary at this point. Now, again, we did fall through the line in which it looked like was going to be our most stable point at around $28,900. On the daily, the RSI has reset. So right now we basically came all the way down to 16 on the RSI. We did reset that. On the weekly, we have not reset, though. So this is the argument I'll make against myself. Although, again, take a look at all of this supply. This is a nice chunk of supply that came in over the last few weeks. And this is what we would look for in an LPS. So both the volume signatures are still bullish, although here I would start to be much more defensive potentially. For instance, this is not a place to be playing with leveraged longs. Effectively, if you're spot buying, I think basically everything here over the next 10 years, Bitcoin is going to be in the positive for you. But right now, we've got some chaotic things coming in the not too distant future, and we could reset the RSI on the daily here quite a bit lower. And this is where the argument for this comes in. Okay. So for those of you that know what SC and AR stands for, let's rewind all the way back to 2019 for a moment here. For instance, in 2019, this was actually the selling climax of the new trading range that was about to take place. So you had a selling climax that came in and pushed us all the way down to around 3,200 before running up to make the first automatic rally. Now, we had talked about this in our other Bitcoin charts here, which we still have open and drawn up from that bull market cycle. Perfect. So here is the selling climax and the primary support both fell within this huge chunk of this trading range here, which wouldn't have been particularly obvious at the beginning that this was the selling climax and this was the automatic rally. So if we make that same argument again, what we could be looking at right now is the idea that the selling climax at around 16,000 and the first automatic rally breaking up into the top of the trading range around 31,000, and the potential likelihood that what we'll see now, because we did break through that 23 or that 27,500 mark, the potential to see something like this, where we come down and actually make a deeper spring before retesting up. And we have the whales that want to accumulate between this range very specifically and try to move it there instead of a big breakout. And this is something called scale invariance. And we've talked about this before. It's one of the things that can make trading ranges so deceiving is there's like a trading range within a trading range. It's very much like a babushka doll or some fractal type of idea here. So this would ultimately become an upthrust and then afterwards distribution back below the bottom of the range. Now, it could go either way here. So all I'm saying is this is the place to be defensive, because if we're correct about the bullish trend, we'll continue basically from here upwards and probably upwards to around $40,000. But now, because we've broken down below 27,000.5, again, I'm still bullish. Like ultimately, the step that got us up here is bullish, but what again worries me is how many times I've miscalculated what's gone, like where the trading range itself is taking place, because we learned this lesson back here in 2018 to 2019 is that you have a selling climax, automatic rally, and then the new trading range starts. And this was the actual trading range that took place, not the distribution into the selling climax, which was two separate events effectively. So before I'd made the mistake back here, I thought we were going to continue bullish early, not realizing that this was just an automatic rally. And I'm starting to question, did I just make that same mistake again, effectively, in which that will bring us all the way back down potentially to the bottom of the trading range here for Bitcoin, which, yeah, for the selling climax here at around 15,900 potentially, we could see a retracement to fill up this whole range effectively. So see something like this with a spring and then a movement of an SOS, and that this becomes the real trading range for accumulation of the much bigger players, people that have the $1 billion they want to get in again over the next 6 months to a year effectively. So it's a 50-50 shot right now. Again, we had some very strong moves upwards here, but while I was away working on the last Ideas Festival, this change of potential character here, I want to keep a close eye on, because it could make a big difference not too far down the future. Okay, so that was just a quick little update on Bitcoin. I wanted to do one more thing here. I wanted to look into Bitcoin. Just dropped me some of their new indicators, but we've looked at this one frequently. We look at it all the time in TradingView. I just liked how this was sussed in percentage instead of the amount printed, which is what we had normally been showing, which shows a much more correlated, but also more difficult to tell if you're looking directly at Bitcoin. But here, this is around percentage. In the blue line, we have the global M2, and we have Bitcoin year over year. Every time M2 increases, Bitcoin's prices increase. Every time M2 decreases, Bitcoin's price basically decreases. And that makes a lot of sense. Bitcoin is a net beneficiary of inflation, because as M2 increases, that money has to find somewhere to go, and it will look for places like Bitcoin. So that wasn't too unusual. And also, lastly, I wanted to point out that ARK has just filed for a spot ETF for Ethereum. Now, if this gets accepted before Bitcoin, it's the one thing it's going to do will probably highlight a point I've been trying to make for the last 3 years, is that, for a bunch of early 2020, I could have chalked up most of the things that I was seeing in the market as coincidence, potentially, right? But at one point, it became clear that conspiracy was the most likely answer. Now, it takes a lot of mental gymnastics to walk away from that. If you've been listening to Sam Harris recently, you'll realize how much mental gymnastics you have to walk to try to convince yourself that it's not a conspiracy. You'll start to sound basically retarded, because the only logical, simple, Occam's razor answer is we are at war of some kind and dealing with a conspiracy of some kind. Whether the SEC is in on it or not, the Federal Reserve, there are all sorts of large-scale institutions who may be conspiring to have some sort of agenda unfold. And if you are to think that there is a conspiracy that is less likely, you need to rediscover how capitalism works, because every day in capitalism, people conspire to get stuff done. It just often, when good business is being done, it's benevolent. It's to create something productive for you that's valuable. But not all capitalism runs that way, and not all people operate that way. And when I came to that conclusion, it became much easier to see why are they not approving the Bitcoin spot ETF? It's because we're dealing with criminals, and when they're backed into a corner, it'll take everything for them to let go.